Once again, Golden Pal is at the top of the betting. Jessica, I'm going to come to you because we'll be doing all the big races here on In the Know for the UK action. And when we were previewing York and we were talking about the Nunthorpe, there was a man named Paul Keeley sat to my left, and he spent a good 3 minutes destroying every single form line that Golden Pal had so far amassed. And he was well beaten behind Winter Power, yet he keeps getting sent off short prices. And I want to know whether you're with or against him.
I'm against. I think he's a very nice horse. I don't know if he's quite progressed from 2 to 3. Some horses just get a little bit more precocious and don't make that transition. I just don't think he is a world-class turf sprinter at this point in his 3-year-old year.
It is a very, very tight track, isn't it, though? So from box 3, how advantageous is that early speed on the 5 furlong turf track?
I think it's a tough ask if you're coming way, way out of it, but the best horse can win from anywhere at Del Mar. It's not a major disadvantage.
Okay, so who'll be picking him up down the straight?
So I thought I was clever picking number 8, Caraval, and all week a bunch of people who I respect, who I also think are reasonably clever, have been picking her. So I don't know if we're going to get quite 20-1 on her. She's a huge price on the morning line. I still think she's an interesting contender. I was at Parks for the Pennsylvania Derby day, and I watched her just absolutely languish over the soft turf course. Just would not pick up her feet over it. She looked uncomfortable the entire way. That was kind of a weird race anyway, the Turf Monster. And I think she's a much better horse than that race indicates. I don't think that's the indicator of whether she can run with the boys or whether she can run at this level of competition. So I think over a tight, firm turf course, she'll be much more competitive.
Okay, yeah. Caravel then, Simon. We're looking at huge odds here.
She's 40-1. I've got to say, I've written down here Lively Outsider, because Graham Motion, English for Graham Motion, has got a really good Breeders' Cup record. He never runs horses in the Breeders' Cup, for fun. And his strike rate, he's won 4 and been second 6 times from 44 runners. So nearly 25% strike rate, first and second, which is a fantastic record at Breeders' Cup. And so Caravel at 40-1, I just thought, almost on that base alone. There's bits and bobs of her form which you can make a case for. So really interesting tip, Jessica.
40-1 then, Caravel. What else are you going to be sticking in, Jessica?
Another bit of a long shot, actually, and that is number 11, Fast Boat. This may be a little bit more of a sentimental pick. I am a good house girl, and Fast Boat ran at Sam Houston. It ran a dynamite race this year, and I really liked him then. I've liked watching this horse. He's not this blue-blooded, fancy, expensive horse. He just shows up and does the job. He's one of those hard-knocking kind of war horse types, and I really like him. I think he can honestly get a good piece of it. I don't know if he's good enough to win, but he's good enough to get a few of my dollars.
I want your selection, Tom, and a quick rundown of the European Challenges, because, of course, this is a fairly new race,
yes.
And it was only last year that the Europeans managed to get a sniff with glass slippers. Bit of a much tighter test here today, but obviously Emiratiana, A Case of You. There are more horses than normal from these shores going over for a challenge.
Yeah, I think our trainers have realised that we can actually now compete in these sprint races for older horses. Glass Slippers obviously burst through the gap last year. Great rubber, Tom Eves. It's worth noting this race this year is now 5 furlongs, not 5.5 furlongs. That was the same, which was the trip at Keeneland last year.
And she needed every yard.
Yeah, I think that's going to play against Glass Slippers. I think she's going to be ridden along early, and then we'll be staying on, but I don't know if she'll get there. Like Jessica, I think Golden Pound's an awful favourite, arguably the lay of the meet. I want to be opposing him, even though he's drawn really well in Gate 3, which is sure to attract attention. My selection is going to be Gear Jockey. Now, he was one of 4 anti-post bets that I've had. And when I saw the draw, watched the draw on Monday with Brittany Ayrton and Nick Luck, I almost cried when I saw everything Gate 10, because I thought he's got an unbelievable chance if he's drawn inside. I didn't want to be drawn outside. He's drawn Gate 10, so that's a slight negative. Jose Lezcano gave him a great ride at Kentucky Downs last time in the turf sprint. I think he's just improved dramatically since he's gone sprinting. Rusty Arnold's one of the shrewdest trainers about, and I think he's a big player in here. We shouldn't overlook the Brits. I think, A Case of You in the Abbey was really impressive, but again, needed every yard to get up on the line. I think the trip and the track will play against him.
I think Emiratiana's got to be very interesting. I know this horse, won 6 furlongs first going at Haydock last time out in the Sprint Cup, but it's rock solid form. Obviously, creative force and art power have given it a boost. He's also been round Chester, but which is going to help here. But it's the cruising speed for Emiratiana that I think will really help here from box 2.
Yeah, well, he wasn't too far off Winter Power, was he, in the Nunthorpe early on? So he showed his cruising speed that day. He beat Starman last time out. Starman was obviously regarded over here as the best sprinter around. So his form stacks up. He's drawn nicely in gate 2 as well. Just inside Golden Pal, should get a nice toe into the race. You can't rule him out. But I'm going to stick loyal with Gear Jockey despite the draw.
Everything's about algorithms these days. We need likes, we need subscriptions. That's all that matters in life, apparently. So do press that that thumbs up button and give us a like on YouTube if you're watching at home. As we move on to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf here, where we have joint favourites in the shape of Warlike Goddess and Love, 7-2. The pair Love's Only You is 4-1. Audaria is 5-1. Rougier 13-2, and then 16-1 bar those. And again, just a little quirk of the kind of races here. We were talking about this off air, Tom, is that Audaria is coming back to defend her crown, but essentially in a very different race. She's got an extra furlong and a half to go. So that is the quirk of switching tracks. Europeans have won 5 of the last 10. Chad Brown's won 4 of the last 10. Yeah. So you need to be Chad Brown or a European.
But I don't think so this year.
Right, okay. I've set that up for you to not knock it down as well.
Look, the trends don't lie, but this year I think it's slightly different. I don't think it's the strongest fillies and mares that we've seen. Obviously, Warlike Goddess has been dominating in New York. She's a real deep closer with a wicked turn of foot. She's facing tougher opposition here. It'll be interesting seeing how well she competes. But she's market leader. She's 7-2 favourite. I kind of want to be opposing her. Love's been a bit disappointing since she won the Prince of Wales at Royal Ascot as well. Obviously, Aidan O'Brien can get horses to battle right back and refine their best. But I don't want to be taking 7-2 about her doing that. I think that's quite risky. So the selection's going to be Love's Only You, a Japanese raider. Now, I know Jessica's already mentioned one Japanese raider, who I do think is interesting, actually, against Jack Christopher. But Love's Only You's my main Japanese fancy. She finished third, behind Mishriff in the Shima Classic. That was a screamer of an effort. Was keen early, had to burst through a gap and actually hit the front, past Mishriff and Chronogenesis, and then got repassed close to home.
Had a pretty terrible trip throughout that as well.
A bad trip. You can definitely mark her up. Now, since then, she's run at Chartin and then Sapporo in the Sapporo Kinnan. She got beaten by a horse called Sadashi, the whitest horse I've ever seen. But again, she got a terrible trip that day as well. I think she figures to get a better trip here. And I don't think it's that deep a race. Rougier, I'm not too sure if she'll handle the track. Daria's drawn badly. And as I mentioned about Love, I don't think she's at her best. So Love's Only You is my selection here.
I think this is a really interesting race. For me, if I'm playing a horizontal wager here, this is a race I have to go quite a few horses deep just to kind of feel that I'm covered. There are a few I'm tossing entirely. Rougier, I think, really is not going to handle that kind of firm turf at all. I don't think Love is as good as she was last year. So those two I'm going to leave off of any tickets. But Love's Only You. She's a beast. That race in Dubai was exceptional. That was a really exciting race to watch. I think she might be the star of this group. Looking for a little bit of value, too, with some of the domestic contenders. And I liked number 11, Dog Tag. I don't know if she's quite good enough to win against top international group, but she has home track advantage. She's run well at Del Mar. And you have to think Mandela and Jamie Roth, the woman behind Ellen J. Foxwoods, they're smarting a little bit after United had to sit out so close to the big race. So I'd love to see them have a good showing.
Thoughts on Warlike Goddess's form?
I am probably leading the fan club for English Channel as an underrated stallion. I don't know why they are continually not commercially popular when all they do is run and run well and run forever and do literally anything you ask of them, from, flat to jumps to anything. Really lightly raced filly. I tried to beat her last time and she made a liar out of me. So I think she's the real deal.
Okay, Warlike Goddess is a 7-2 shot. Over to you, Simon, for the thoughts on this race. Again, a strong European challenge, and this is the biggest price Love has been since since she won the Guineas. I mean, she 6 months ago there was a potential that she was going to be the best horse in training. Now everyone's completely written her off. Which Love's going to turn up?
Yeah, listen, I'm looking at her and thinking, well, she's disappointed by her 3-year-old. Standards, but I mean, the third to Mishriff wasn't a disgrace. He absolutely flew home that day. The third in the King George again wasn't a disgrace. Adayar and Mishriff last time out, maybe you could sort of crab back being beaten by Pearl Coco, but on time form ratings and stuff, she's still running to a level which gives her a massive chance here. And Aidan O'Brien's always said she just wants this fast ground. She wants this fast ground. I think she'll go close to the pace. She's led before or sat right behind the pace. Well, I think you made a good point. Only going to Vegas, I think, will be on the lead. And there's plenty of hold-up horses and sort of mid-pack horses. So I reckon they'll be really positive. I think she's got a great chance. All I Got is a huge filly. I mean, got form over 12 furlongs, 11 furlongs. And that My Sister Nat Proximity, she was well beaten in last year's limit. So I'm not sure how good that form is. And so I do tend to gravitate to the Europeans here. And I think Love, O'Dari, I think, has got a very similar profile to last year. Not quite at the same level, but if you look at the prep runs or trial runs, she's been running a similar level. So I think Love and O'Dari are the two that I'd focus on. I think they're the best fillies in the race. And I think it'd be just like Aidan O'Brien actually to round off Love's career with a win here, and that'd be it, and off to the breeding show.
So Space Blues then heading the market here, Tom. Really classy horse. We know he's Group 1 quality. Last 10 years, though, the European Challenges, it's the 3-year-olds that have really dominated here. And of course, he is stepping up in trip. What did you make of him?
Yeah, he's stepping up in trip from 7 furlongs to a mile. I think that's the one negative I have. The positive about that, though, is the fact that he has a sprinter's tactical speed. He can get into a decent position early. He won't be too far back. Charlie Appleby's horses seems to have drawn well across the 2 days. I mean, everything's gone right for Charlie Appleby this season, and Godolphin as well. I think he's a major player. He deserves to be favourite after his foray win. He clearly travels well, goes to Maidan, to France and whatnot, and always performs. I just don't like his price, and that kind of puts me off him. I don't see too many front runners in this race. I mean, Mo Forza, who's the second favourite with Coral here at 11-2, he comes from off the speed. Mother Earth's going to be ridden behind as well. She's a 3-year-old filly. She's improving. Last year at the Breeders' Cup, she actually flew home and caught the eye. And again, at Ascot and Champions Day, she actually posted the fastest closing section to win that race.
She was given so much to do.
Yeah, but I feel like that might be the case again today. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if she did win, because she's a classy angle in this field. But I think the pace scenario might not suit her. So I want to be on a horse on the speed here. I can only see 2 horses that are going to go forward. One's Blowout, who I don't think is good enough, and the other is Smooth Like Straight, who's going to be my pick from an inside gate. Gets Umberto Rispoli, arguably the best turf rider on the West Coast, although Flavian Pratt may argue that one. Been performing at the top level, had 5 starts since his debut, had 5 starts at Del Mar, 2 victories, 3 seconds. Really consistent performer, rarely ever out the frame. You're getting a double-figure price, and likely to always be in the vanguard. So Smooth Like Straight for me, Ross.
Okay, Smooth Like Straight then, who's a 12-1 shot here. Again, that's 2 races on the bounce that Umberto Rispoli could have the race run to suit on the speed for him. Jessica, Space Blues up in trip. Tell us about the main US challenger Mo Forza and what else you like in this race.
Well, Space Blues I would not talk you off of. I think he's about as legitimate of a short price as you'll find on the day. Now, Mo Forza, I do not like. But if you like Mo Forza, I don't know why you don't like Hit the Road, who I think is going to offer actually a little bit more value. And he's been really keeping good company with him. I know Florent Giroux went elsewhere, but it's never a downside when you get John Velasquez aboard. And while I've been sitting on the sidelines this Breeders' Cup, I have been thoroughly enjoying all of the coverage from our friends there. And watching Hit the Road on the track, he's been a real standout to me. I think this is a horse who looks like he's coming into this race as well as he has been, and has shown he can run with most of this field at this point. So I think he offers a little bit of value. Sentimental rooting, I'll admit it, but she will still take a few of my dollars, and I will be so happy if Got Stormy wins. She has just been so grand and so fun to watch, and I understand she is up against this field. This is a world-class group, but she has won at Del Mar. She ships well. And when she fires, when she runs her A game, she's as good as anyone.
You were nodding away when Hit the Road was mentioned there.
Yeah, this is one of the few races I will be playing the exotics, forecast, tricast, whatnot. I think Hit the Road's a real big player and at a huge price as well. He just hasn't had the dream trip the last twice. Small fields, coming off the speed, just not able to get to the front runners. Been running the same races as Smooth Like Straight. I think if there is a pace collapse, then he's going to be one at a huge price that is worth playing.
Okay, wide open race then here, Simon, despite the fact that Space Blues is favoured. Again, I mean, there's a lot of horses here of RPRs, 114, 115, 116, and then you've got Space Blues, 123 last time out, back in the Maurice de Guise last year at 121. So are we overlooking the obvious, clear best horse in the race?
Well, I think it's worth taking him on. I mean, he's 9-4 with us. He's drawn well enough in 3. He looks the right sort of profile. That kind of 7 furlong type horse is going to love the track. But you only have to look at the Roll of Honour for the Breeders' Cup Mile to see some of the biggest shockers. Last year, Order of Australia at 66-1. And I think you've got to play value. This is the most competitive race. I mean, I think you mentioned Hit the Road, trained by Englishman Dan Blacker, Christina Blacker, obviously TVG presenter is his wife, and ran very well 2 years ago in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. I think he can go well. Mother Earth, we haven't really mentioned her, but I mean, her consistency is ludicrous. 10 Group 1s, only out of the 3 once. That was the last time out when a strong finishing 5th behind Baid. She ran well over in Keenan last year. So I think you can make a case for so many. I even, at a massive price, Eva was 4th last year, and there's a repeater angle in the Breeders' Cup Mile that's happened many times over the years, and his forms look great, but he throws in big figures all the time. I thought he was okay at a massive price, so I'll probably go for a bit of value here because I think Space Breeze is probably worth taking on.
I'll give a shout out to Master of the Season. I hope that he's a bit keen. He's hopefully ridden a bit more prominently. I mean, that Poetic Flair in the Guinea stands out, and you can make excuses of both those ones. Way too soft at Ascot last time out, and he clearly needed the return behind Ben Battle. So he's got a real fast ground, big field mile, which is the conditions where he showed his best at Newmarket. So again, another absolutely wide open contest. Latruska, the question is whether she can battle off other early pace contenders, but she did it at Saratoga in incredibly game fashion. So can they get a beat?
She's been the horse of the year for me at this point. She has been, to me, what's everything good about horse racing when you see a kind of a smaller outfit get a truly great horse and have a really ambitious and fun campaign. A lot of fans have gotten to enjoy her this year, and I'm really happy to have been one of them. You'll know whether she's going to win in the opening quarter if you watch what her ears are doing. This is a horse who, when she gets out there and she's by herself and her ears are just kind of like this, no one's catching her. That's it. Of course, you don't know that for the race. I have some concerns that Baffert's filly, Private Mission's going to take it to her early and try to soften her up, setting it up maybe for a horse like Dunbar Road from off the pace. But Latruska, she's just too classy. I think this is her race to lose.
Okay. Are you in agreement, Tom Collins?
Yeah, Jessica summed up absolutely exactly how I would have done.
Well, thanks for coming, Tom.
No, I mean, Private Mission and Horologist are the two that are going to go forward, as well as Latruska. If they can press her early, then maybe this will set up for the closer. I think Dunbar Road and Royal Flag are both intriguing for Chad Brown, but Latruska's the speed of the speed in here. She has more natural pace than both Private Mission and Horologist. Red Ortiz got on well with her last time, although she had a look around in the straight. I think if the real Latruska turns up, and she is virtually the real Latruska every time we see her. She's won 17 of 22 races and 7 of her last 8. If she turns up, I think she'll win.
Can we just have a word on Malathat though? Because that is a proper. I mean, we're talking dirt pedigrees, top class dirt pedigrees, and that figure last time out suggests that as a 3-year-old, we don't quite know how much was coming.
I mean, she's the champion 3-year-old filly. She's by Curlin, represents Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez, leading team, Shadwell as well. She's 6 from 7 in her career, and her sole defeat came in the American Oaks when she was forced to make the speed, which wouldn't have suited her.
And that's not going to happen here, is it?
Definitely won't happen here. And she's been prepped for this race since August, working really nicely as well. I've seen a few videos of her working on the track. So she's a big player. I just don't think she has the class of Latruska.
One point on Malathat I do want to make is I did get to see her in person this summer at Saratoga. And what a physically mature filly she is. And I can imagine she's only filled out and developed more since this summer. But she walked into the paddock and she looked like a colt. Some of the 3-year-old fillies, especially that time of the year, they look a little slight. They look a little feminine. And she's a solid filly. I think she has as much class as anyone.
Okay, that's good. You're convincing me that each way wager might get a little bit bigger on Malathat.
You can blame me also when Latruska dusts her.
Yeah, to be fair, you also told me that would happen as well. So we'll go for maybe just straight forecast it. But Tom,
I think Latruska wins this race, probably in price-wise. I haven't finalised my selections yet, I have to say. But I think I'll probably put up Dunbar Road each way at the prices. But I think Latruska's probably too good.
Cracking races this year, there really are. And the Breeders' Cup Turf, Tarnawa. Again, what an absolute top-class mare she is. She's 11-8 favourite here, and her job has been made a little bit easier by domestic spending being scratched this morning. Tiona is 13-2, 8-1 Yabia, 9-1 Walter Street, Sisfahan 10s, 16-1 Gufo and Broom, and bigger prices the rest. Tom Collins, Tarnawa, won this last year. I think it's fair to say no one's going to disagree that Tarnawa is the best horse in the race, but from box 13 doesn't necessarily mean it's going to unfold perfectly.
We'll go 11 now, and that may help.
Course, yeah.
For the two non-runners inside, Domestic Spending and United being taken out. Look, I was with Domestic Spending prior to the withdrawal, the scratching. I thought she was the main player. He was the main player in here. But look, Tarnawa is the horse to beat. She was brilliant in the Arcs, finished second. Last year in this race, she bolted up despite stumbling at the start and not getting the dream trip. She had to go 8 or 9 wide around the bend at Keeneland and still won. She's the horse to beat. I have to take her on though. I don't like the draw. And at the price, 11 to 8, do I want to take the risk that she's going to be pitched wide around the bends? Probably not. So the horse I came down on was Sisfahan. Now we've already seen one big German shock this year, Toccata Tasso in the Arc, and he went off a lot bigger price than Sisfahan's going to go off here. They have formed together. Toccata Tasso beat Sisfahan by a length at Baden-Baden. Prior to that, Sisfahan won the German Derby in a good time under Andreas Starker, who usually gets his pick in Germany. Now I don't know too much about the trainer Henk Grue, but I like the way he's been moving this colt up through the ranks. Last time at Cologne, third behind Alpinista, and will have to improve. Alpinista wouldn't win this race. However, I think the softer ground might suit Sisfahan, and at a double figure price, I'm willing to take the chance.
Alpinista wouldn't win this race is I think a strong claim there, but we might see next season. Christian De Moro, quite the one ride from what I can tell, booked over the 2 days at Del Mar. Talk about pressure.
I know, all there for one ride. He's delivered under pressure before though. He's a jockey that's come onto the main stage in the last few years, riding some big horses as well along the way. I think he'll hit the frame here on this colt.
Okay. Jessica, Tarnawa, very rarely does she put a foot wrong at the top level, but can you back her at this price from that draw?
So I feel a little silly acting like she is a silver medal for me, but this was the race that had my strongest opinion over the course of 2 days, and that was United. I was all in on United at this big price. I thought it was so clever. Johnny V, everything. Mandela, this was going to be great. But in horse racing, things happen. So back to the drawing board. I will happily default to Tarnawa, who is a very deserving, legitimate top contender here. Her effort last year was excellent. Her form has been very solid this year as well. She just shows up. That said, I'm going to try to hunt down some more value in here, but back to the drawing board for me in a lot of ways, because I also thought Domestic Spending had a very legitimate chance.
I mean, I was saying this to Tom off air, and he thought I'd gone absolutely insane, but I think Broom's going to run a big race here. I think this horse has been...
Everyone just turned off Ross.
I mean, yeah, it might come back to haunt me, but I think people have a view of how good Broom is, and I think that has been kind of put to bed a little bit this season. This horse has run to RPRs of 119 3 times in the past 5 months, behind Wonderful Tonight, winning at Saint-Cloud, and then behind Deep Bond at Longchamp. A mile and a half, big field, box 6 now, in theory, should get a lovely sit. And I can't understand why Broom is a 16 to 1 shot. I think it's a bit of bias towards Broom. Simon, I forgot to say your name there. I'm just assuming you'd know I was talking to you.
You're looking at Tom, who's clearly giving you dodgy look. You turn to me, but I'm gonna surprise you. He's my live outsider. He's got Frankie Dettori on board. When he's been ridden with restraint, like almost properly, he's run his best figures. He's been rushed up to the lead, and I'm not saying used as a pacemaker, but ridden really prominently at times when there've been other O'Brien horses in races. But earlier in the season, he ran some really nice figures, and I just thought, if you want to oppose Tarnawa, I don't think there's a huge amount between the rest of them, really. The one I thought would be interesting, if Mogul snuck into the race, there was one more scratching, because they've taken Mogul over there. He's got bits of form on fast ground, but and also that French Group 1 win. I just think he might be another crazy load. So keep an eye out for him. But I'm with Broom and Tarnawa for me.
Okay, I mean, if I'm mad for siding with Broom again, then come on. What are we saying about Mogul?
I think hopefully he stays on the also eligible list to save Simon's blushes.
Breeders' Cup Classic then rounds off the card at Del Mar on Sunday, officially for us, and we have the Brad Cox show at the top of the betting here, with Nick's Go at 5 to 2, Essential Quality at 11 to 4, Hot Rod Charlie at 9 to 2, Medina Spirit at 6 to 1, 7 to 1, Max Player and 14 to 1 bar those. Nick's Go stepping up in trip here, Jessica, and up against quite a few horses, Essential Quality, Hot Rod Charlie, Medina Spirit, who have there's a few scores to settle in this race, isn't there?
This is, I think, one of the most fascinating Breeders' Cup Classic fields we've seen in a long time. I don't know if this will go down as one of the greatest Classic fields, but I think this is a fascinating race. And Essential Quality has almost this Rodney Dangerfield quality to him, where he's done literally everything, and he really doesn't get all that much respect.
I was not expecting Rodney Dangerfield to be name checked on the show, but I'm glad he is.
I'm glad I could do that for you. That's...
I'm going to watch Caddyshack when I get home. Sorry, carry on, Jessica, as you were.
So Essential Quality, he's been interesting to watch all year. And a point I've made about him a couple of times that he's by Tappet. And, they're not really known for being the best acting colts. I joke about the Tappet brain sometimes. And he's been kind of an anomaly. He's been quiet. He's been very well behaved, very, very within himself. This week at Del Mar, he has jogged onto the track each morning like he is on fire. I have never seen a horse so on the muscle and so keyed up to train. I think he is sitting on probably the race of his life, if his body language and the way he looks is any indication.
Okay, so a fascinating field then here, Jessica. Are you, if it's that fascinating, are you struggling to find a way in?
So I'm a little biased towards Hot Rod Charlie here, who I saw win the Pennsylvania Derby, and I thought he just physically had matured so much. Now, those of us who've done this, public handicapping and having public opinions for a long time, occasionally we have some really bad takes, and I'll let you guys know my worst one of the year. And that was after the Louisiana Derby. It was right around my birthday. I was celebrating my birthday with my best friend. I may have had a glass of champagne. And I tweeted, boy, the Louisiana Derby, no Kentucky Derby winner. What a terrible, nothing good is coming out of that race. And boy, I just could not have been more wrong every race as the year went on. So, Hot Rod Charlie, he's just continued to prove me wrong and ran a truly dynamite race in Pennsylvania.
Okay, very well. Tom Collins, this is, again, it's matchstick in the eyes. Well, for most of us, you're a night owl anyway.
It's middle of the evening for me.
Yeah, you'll be sitting down for supper.
A bit of Charlestown after, isn't there?
Breeders' Cup Classic then.
You are a man after my own heart.
He is. I think you live in the wrong country, mate.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do. But look, this is going to be a great race. I can't wait for it. The hour gap between the penultimate Breeders' Cup race and the Classic is a bit of a nightmare. But it's just going to be full of nerves and excitement leading up to the main race. We've got 4 brilliant horses, potentially 5 if you want to include Art Collector. I'm not putting in Medina Spirit. I don't think he's good enough in this field. Max Player is a horse I love, but I can't side with him against the likes of Nick's Go, Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie. The selection is going to be Hot Rod Charlie. Now, I fully respect EQ. He's one of my favourite horses in training. He always gives everything, and as Jessica said, he's looked brilliant in his morning works and breezes. I've had the privilege to watch him on YouTube. I don't think anyone's ever said the privilege to watch on YouTube before, but and he's looked so good.
We're on YouTube right now, Tom.
Everyone's had the privilege of watching us. Do you think that?
A lot of people have privilege to watch on YouTube right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nobody watches TV anymore, Tom.
It's true. Look, I imagine EQ is going to run a big race. Nick's Go is going to set the speed. I don't think the trip's ideal for him. He's obviously got a massive fan club and proved beyond recognition for Brad Cox, but I think Essential Quality is a better horse. But Hot Rod Charlie, this is a horse who deserves another big win. Now, I know he's just won a Grade 1 in the Penn Derby. He got chucked out from the Haskell. He won that race, got DQ'd, probably rightly so. Prior to that in the Belmont, finished second to Essential Quality. Now, he ran his heart out. I've never seen such a game effort in defeat. He was on a red-hot pace, battled all the way to the line, drew clear to third. I hope Hot Rod Charlie wins. And also, his connections, his owners, are the liveliest group of people I think I've ever witnessed. So if Hot Rod Charlie wins the Classic, you won't be able to hear what anyone says on the TV. It'll just be the raucous sounds from the crowd. Okay,
good stuff. Well, it's a shame we'll be at home in the living room watching it, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, I mean, actually, the one thing I'd say from, I know you, Ross, you said you went to San Trinice a few years ago. My experience of Breeders' Cups is, whilst I enjoy all 14 races, even wherever you are, whether it's Churchill Downs or San Trinice, the atmosphere changes after the Breeders' Cup turf. It's like everyone there gets that it's now the big one, and the big one is the Breeders' Cup Classic. When the crackle of atmosphere when the horse are in the paddock and they're going down to the start and they're going behind the stall, there's nothing like it. And then when the gates open, there is a roar. And it makes the hair stand on the back and even thinking about it. And this race, as Jessica said, it may not be in terms of quality, as great a Breeders' Cup Classic we've had, but in terms of a compelling watch with all the pace in the race, Nick's Go with that speed, will he stay? Essential Quality, Stablemate would also want to be bang up there. Hot Rod Charlie will be right close to the pace. Medina Spirit's done it all from the front, but drawn wide. Max Player, even Art Collector will be quite prominent. So I don't think anything's going to come from behind. The horses from behind don't look good enough unless it's an absolute boilover. So which horse is going to last home? And for me, Belmont form, Essential Quality, strong, lovely, handsome 3-year-old. I'm going to go with Essential Quality to win this for Godolphin, which in itself will be a landmark moment for that team.